Hello, so today we are going to do this problem, which is part of Leetcode daily challenge. Add two numbers, two. So basically we get two linked lists that represents integers where the most significant digits comes first. So basically this means that 7 is the first digit, and then you have 2, 4, 3. So this is the number represented by this linked list here, okay? Each node contains a single digit, so that's what we have here. And we want to add the two numbers and return the sum of these two numbers, but we want to return it as in a linked list format, okay? So, and we are guaranteed that they don't contain any leading zeros, except if it's just the number 0, so it's just one node with 0, okay? So let's take a look here at the first example. So if we take the sum first, the sum of these two, 7, so that's what we have here. And then 4, 6, that's 10. And so we put 0 and then carry 1. And now we have 2 and 5, 7, and then 8. So it's 8 because plus this one, and then 7, okay? And this is the final result. So how do we tackle this? Well, definitely the easiest solution, right, is to just get the numbers, right, from all of these linked lists, from the two linked lists, right, and then add them up. So what I mean by that is just get the number 7243 and 564 and then add them up together. So let's just do that. So that would mean something like plus, like that. So that would be this, and then once we have this, create the linked list. So to create the linked list, we first do a node like this, and then set its next value to this one, and then its next node to this one, its next node after that to this one, right? So pretty straightforward solution. So what would that look like? Let's just do it first in the most simple way possible, and then go from there. So the first thing we can do is to just get two strings, right? One for the first number and one for the second number, and just go through the linked list, right? Every time you take the value and then you go to the next node, and then you do the same thing for the second list. So at this point we would have the two strings representing both values. So pretty straightforward here. Let me just show you. So at that point now we have 7243 and then 564, and now we just add them up. So what's the sum? Well, we convert one to an integer and the other one to an integer, and that should give us x, which is the sum, right? So if I print that here, that's what we should have, and that's what we have. That's the result here, okay? So now the second thing is to just create a linked list out of that. And so we just need to go through the string, we convert it back to a string, and then go through it digit by digit, and we need to create a linked list from that. And so to do that, well, we need to have some sort of a dummy linked list, right? So that we can return dummy.next, because we will just put the first element from the result, like 7. So we'd have the dummy node with value 0 pointing to the node with value 7. Right, and then that points to a node with value 8, and we'll keep going like that until the end of the number. Okay, so that's what we'll do here. And so we just need a node to go through that. So let's initialize it first to dummy, and then here node.next will just point it to this value. So we'll just do a list node with c. We need to convert it to an integer, and then we need to go to the next node, so that next time we point, so that next time, once we do this one, so that next time, and point it, next time we point 8 to 0. So we need each time to point to the next one, and so that's why we do this here. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So if we run this and submit, it should work, and it does work, okay? Now in terms of time, we are doing an event time here, and is n1 the length of L1, or event 2 the length of linked list 2. This is just summing integers, so it should be fine. And this is O of at most is going to be the max of the length of L1 or L2. Okay, so if we say n is the max of the length of the two, or even the sum of the length of the two, then this overall is going to be O of n time. Space though is a little bit more because we need to return the linked list, so it's going to be O of n at most. So that's the solution. However, this string here, I don't like it much. Can we just construct the number right away instead of having to create it as a string and then convert it to an integer? And the answer, of course, is yes. So let's try it. So first, we need to just convert this to a number. So what do we need? So first, we have 7, right? And then after 7, we get 2 for this number. So after 7, we get 2. So how do we get 72? First, and then get after that 724, and then after that 7,243. Well, each time we just multiply the previous number with 10 and then add the new number, right? And then just add the new number, which is the L1 plus val. Okay, and assign that. How would that work? So if we do that, then first we'd have n1 equal to 0, right? And so we will multiply 0 by 10 and then add 7, so we'd have 7. And then when we move here, we'll multiply 7 by 10 and then we'd add 2, so it would be 72. And then when we go here, multiply this by 10 and then add 4, so it would be 724. You get the idea. And then when we get here, multiply by 10 plus 3, and we have the number, right? We have the exact number. By the way, this is linked list. This is L1, okay? And so this we get the number as it is. So that's what we will do here. So we'll say n1 is going to be just equal to the previous value multiplied by 10 plus plus the new value. So that's pretty much it. And we'll do the same thing here for n2. So this needs to be n2 and this needs to be L2 here, okay? And now we have the two numbers. We don't need to do this. We can do it like that. So if we run this, looks like S1. It says S1. Yeah, of course. It's N1 plus N2. And this passes, okay? Now, what else? So this also is not great going through the strings. So can we, or maybe can we do something similar with just numbers? And the answer is yes. So how do we do that? So here what we have is, in this case, we have this number, right? So how do we, out of this each time? So what we want is, out of this, get first 7 and then get 8 and then get 0 and then get 7, right? You get the idea. So how do we first just get this 7, first 7? Well, we just, if we take this number divided by 1000, we should get 7, right? Even if you divide it by, you should get 7. Of course, if you round it up, you will get 7. So that's what we want here. So what is this 1000? Well, this 1000 is just 10 to the power of the length of this as a string, right, minus 1. So minus 1. Okay, and so let's actually do that. So let's say, let's call it ln is going to be just the length of the string of x. And so instead of doing this, we will stop when we divide the last element. So when we have only 7 left and divide it, we will get 0. So we'll stop when x reaches 0. So we can say while, or not x reaches 0. So let me clarify a little bit this. I think it's not clear. So we take the length, which is 4. So what we can do is basically just take first 7 and then subtract length to 3 and then divide it by 100. And so that will give us 8. And so subtract again to 2. So we stop when length ln here reaches 0. When it reaches we keep doing it as long as ln is bigger or equal to 0. So while n is bigger than or equal to 0. because here, you will see in a minute why, because here we will just subtract 1 each time. And how do we get this c? We said that we can just take x and divide it by 10 to the power of ln. Okay, so first we'll divide it by 4, then divide it by 3, then divide it by 10 to the power of 2, then divide it by 10 to the power of 0, then divide that by 10 to the power of 0, which is just 1, and so we'll get 7. So that's the idea here. And then what do we need for x itself? So for x, we need to modulo the same number we divided by, which is this. So modulo this. You may ask, why do that? Well, because once we have this, we divide it by 10 to the power of, so we get 7, and so we have 7 as the node. Then what we want x to be equal to next is 807, and so to do that, we just get the modulo, right? So that's what we're doing here. And then at the end, we just return this dummy value. So we have a slight problem here where this needs to be -1, because remember, the length is 4. We need to start with 3 because we only need 3. And so that's why the problem here. So let's run it. Let's submit. And this works. So I just wanted to show you a different way of doing it, using the divisions instead of just going through the characters and converting to an int. Yeah, so I think there are a couple of other ways to do this. So for example, you could just take this list, okay, and then get the length, and then get the length of this list and see by how much you need to offset the smaller list. So for example, here you need to offset it by 1. And so when you traverse, you first, for the values, for the length of the offset, you will just add the values from the bigger list alone. And then once the offset is equal to 0, you will start adding them together. So that's also one recursive way of doing it. But yeah, I think this one is more intuitive. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this problem. Please like and subscribe, and see you on the next one. Bye.